dilly.
Exactly. Dilly
Dilly dilly.
Welcome back to the 101. The 101 brought to you by Lincoln Wallace, the small business and entrepreneurial show. I'm Michael Morris. As always, Madison Gillespie and Andrew Leachman are with me. How are you, boys?
I'm feeling fantastic. How about you?
I'm fantastic, Madison. You
I feel amazing.
You seem really low key.
Do you
He
look
looks amazing, though.
My coffee
He
hasn't
looks
kicked
He
in.
does look amazing. He has a salmon shirt on.
He wakes
Yeah.
up, he has that sparkle in his eye. He
Yeah.
makes me want to go after it and get it every day.
Yeah.
You notice that sparkle too?
And wants to do that hot
What do you use?
yoga?
Do you use crust white strips?
Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
I moisturize.
Speaking of crust white strips, let's talk about vertical integration. A perfect way to get into it.
Perfect segue.
Yes. Madison, please define vertical integration, and then we're going to talk about why this is an issue that we want to talk about.
Do you want the actual, like,
I don't need it. You
Dictionary
can look it up on
Webster,
your
please.
phone. What's vertical integration to you?
the way I view, I mean, vertical integration is basically, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but two companies kind of coming together and, in a way, co-creating or coexisting together.
Kind of bouncing
Streamline
business
your
back and
process.
forth between it. Apple is a very good example of its vertical integration, or a closed loop system basically means all the revenue is going to stay between 2 or 3 points. So when you buy an iPhone, an iPad, you don't even have to buy a Mac, but in order to buy music, which has killed the music business, people don't buy albums or CDs.
Right.
You go and you buy your 99-cent or $1.29 songs, but the revenue is made by Apple before anybody else gets it.
They even build their own phones.
Right.
They buy the parts and build their own phones. The
They-
manufacturing, the software, the sales, the content on the phone, everything is
From
controlled.
creation to retail, really.
Right. Well, and they build their own
Streamlining your
factories,
entire
Yeah.
process.
so they don't outsource anything.
By the way, have you heard about some of the factories with the catch nets in them?
I saw the documentary. I think it's called Steve Jobs, the Man in the Machine, and I remember seeing pictures of the nets, and I thought they were by a fishing port until you realize underneath it is concrete.
Yeah, basically, Apple is working their employees so hard making the iPhones that people just
Not in the States. Let's preface
Yes,
that.
right.
This
This is
isn't in
overseas.
Seattle. People
This is
are jumping
actually
in.
in Marysville.
That would never fly in Seattle.
Yeah, but the suicide rate was so high within those factories because they were working them so hard that people were jumping out of the buildings. So Apple, or whoever was making the phones at the time, put nets outside the windows so that when people would try to commit suicide, it would just catch them, recycle them, and put them back to work.
It would be perfect vertical integration if they also had a net company, but we don't know that for fact. What we do know is
It's stock in a net company.
It is a
I can't- I'm not
closed
gonna
loop.
comment.
Yeah, Andrew would stay out of that one. But the point being, I don't know how we got to that.
I don't either.
The point being to this is that when you have a closed loop or vertical integration system, it is keeping all of that money kind of in one block. So the reason this came up is the issue in the paper. It was, and I'm going to say this wrong, it was CVS bought Aetna. And
For $69 billion.
right. And we were talking about the price of that, but you and I both looked at it and go, what a great investment.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I came from the healthcare field. I worked as a nurse for about 4 years, and not just from the insurance side, but just overall. So the way I understand it, CVS bought Aetna as a play to kind of create the insurance side with the actual pharmacy, combining those two and then making these hubs. I think they have 9,700 locations, CVS does. So their thought process was, let's buy an insurance company that has 24 million current clients. We'll turn all of our CVS pharmacies into these physician hubs.
Like the Minute Clinic, except for it's really, now there'll be a doctor or physician there rather than you've got a cold and flu thing.
And you're seeing a physician's assistant or, whatever, somebody, yeah. So basically doctors there, but they're going to have everything. They're going to have psychiatrists, they're going to have nurses' aides, they're going to have nurses, doctors, and then PA.
And they already have the prescriptions to fill.
They already have
it's
the
a closed
pharmacy.
loop. Because your network, you always have to worry about if you are in network. Guess what? Every CVS is your network.
That's right.
Or it's in network.
Right. And now imagine that on every street corner, basically, not every corner, but CVS is everywhere.
Right.
So now, rather than having to go to your primary care doctor and wait 3 or 4 days, you can literally walk in, get your treatment, prescriptions, everything. And I think it's a brilliant idea. And I think the reason why they pushed so hard to do this quickly was Amazon has been working with Humana to kind of do the same thing, only to take the online version of, we'll mail you your prescriptions, but I don't know exactly how they're going to structure it, but I think CVS was like, if we don't do something.
Well, Amazon's been making a move into everything. So you kind of see the writing on the wall. If they're working with Humana, The biggest issue right now is they don't have brick and mortar. However, they do own Whole Foods, so that gives them some sort of brick and mortar store where there could be integration down the
Well,
road.
that's the cool part about it, is because now they can actually put products in there. The Amazon is the official retailer. They have their brick and mortar they can put in. It wouldn't make sense if you're going in there to get Little Debbie's or something like that at a Whole Foods. But there is a way that you can create the new revenue source.
Groceries are kind of the only thing that you kind of have to have. Some people may disagree with me on this, but you're still going to have brick and mortar grocery stores.
Right.
They're going to have delivery services, but you've got to have, if nothing more, for some sort of distribution center. Because that's what they are. They're all distribution centers broken down into neighborhoods and spread out.
Do you know what Amazon's number one revenue source is?
I do not.
It's servers. They own the largest server space, I think, in the world, but definitely in the United States.
When you say servers, you mean computer servers?
Computer servers. So all
Data.
the four Amazon buildings that are in Columbus are all data centers. They don't ship anything out of there. They're all just warehouses with servers. And so I believe that, I could be wrong, but I believe like 25 or 30% of government information is served on their, or is hosted on their
Small.
servers because it's so large. They
Yeah, but the government's not watching us.
No.
Well, but
No,
there's
they're not tracking us. They're
the
not
fun-
watching us.
Fun fact is that's actually our biggest export is data. I don't know if you knew that or not,
I
but
did not
we,
know that.
we make so much money.
Look at Mandrew coming through with some big time.
Our
I know,
biggest-
dropping knowledge
Our
behind
biggest export is data, and there's actually a big movement internationally to shut that down. That you have to have servers inside of that country to be able to collect data in that country.
Well, once the net neutrality comes through and kills everything that we're used to
Yeah.
doing, that'll change that anyway.
But well,
That's a totally
they're
different show.
they're absolutely trying to kill us, even selling data, and Amazon and Google, who are huge companies that rely on all these statistics to run, are trying to fight it tooth and nail, and they have been unsuccessful as of yet. So now they're trying to change the NAFTA, which I think was that 98?
98.
Yeah. So the NAFTA Act of 98, they're actually trying to kind of amend that
Sorry,
to
back up.
include
That's 96. I'm sorry.
96. Okay. But they're trying to amend that so that it includes data, so that our fair trade agreement actually includes our data, so that we can. They're trying to get ahead of that before we commit. We're internationally have a law that outlaws it. So if NAFTA is changed before that, then they would be able to continue operating as they are. But that's a huge hit. I mean, it's like I don't even want to guess. I'll look it up here in a minute. The numbers are staggering. I know it's more than like 50 billion.
Who brought this kid today? You brought
I
something.
know.
You brought the wood today,
You
son.
did.
I brought.
If I had
grande
something, if I had a
iced
sticker to
Americano.
give you, I would.
It was that peppermint latte.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking those out of shame. Even when I'm alone, I have to get something that makes hair
And the
grow
guy
on my chest.
shaming you was doing hot yoga. That's all I want to say. So, but I want to get back before we devolve here. So, what we were talking about with vertical integration when you brought up grocery stores. Walmart is a perfect example of where it is a closed loop. You can get your groceries, you can get athletic wear, you can get prescriptions filled.
And even Kroger has like clothing and jewelry and everything.
But that's not how it used to be, and that's like a 10, 15-year period. But now they have gasoline. I mean, you think about how they're trying to, everyone's trying to be a one-stop shop, and that's what we're talking about with this is, I think when people see those terms, that is what it's called, but I think they don't quite understand. That's why the Apple example is the best way to look at it.
Mhm.
It is, how do I keep the most amount of revenue here and you don't go anywhere else? Apple is the best example because they created the software that no matter what you couldn't get around doing. Like, I don't know anyone that doesn't have an
Well,
iTunes
people
account.
buy iPhones for the software.
Right.
Ease of use, simplicity of it.
That's what, yeah.
The logical. It's kind of like the logical way of how this should work with a touchscreen, and little quirky things like double tapping the home button to be able to close apps. And they buy it for the flow. I mean, I typically don't.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
It is a like flow, like
It's
in
an
a
effi-
business
yeah,
workflow
it is
would
a
be
flow.
the same thing.
Well, then they hook you by the software and the operating system, and it's kind of hard to switch from Apple over to an Android because you're so familiar with Apple.
I'm gonna get a
And
flip phone because I want to get off that crack addiction.
I got something
have
for you. It's
in
like
my
a $40 phone, and it literally looks like a calculator, and you can only type in numbers.
You had me a calculator, just so you know.
It literally looks like a little
My
white
phone doesn't
calculator
have a
that just types that in and you call people. It's like the total minimalist.
Well, I
phone.
like looking at his phone where it's a blank screen, like it's broken, and then he picks it up and it flashes, and I'm trying to read his text messages because I know
Are
something.
you looking at my phone?
I'm trying to. I know something Randy's going on there. But so when we're
Rachel,
talking,
actually.
Flip it over.
yeah, probably she's like in the show. So when we're talking about this in terms of local businesses, what you're looking at is from an entrepreneur's standpoint is you're seeing a lot of stores close down. The brick and mortars are closing down. The ones that are successful, what are you seeing that they're doing right?
I think they're adapting more than anything. You know, if there was one thing that I would say is the most popular thing in today's culture with what do consumers really want? And right now, I would say it's convenience. People want convenience.
They want speed.
Mm-hmm. They want speed. They want to be able to talk to their Alexa and say, Alexa, order me toilet paper, and it shows up to the door. They want to be able to order Uber or order Uber Eats. I mean, we're that lazy that we're not even...
That is concerning.
It is concerning.
Because it used to be eating was a social thing, and
right.
now it is, I don't have to leave my house to eat, and I can eat all the same stuff, and I don't have to talk to them.
And you're having a stranger...
And I can text you while I'm doing it, right? Yes. Don't call me because I'm ordering food for myself. Don't bother me, though.
Right, yeah. No, it's on... I mean, I kind of have my own theory as far as the fact that we don't even... You're ordering food from... Not that there's anything wrong with it. You're ordering food from a stranger to go pick up and bring to you, which I think is a little weird. But not only that, I mean, it's evident in everything that we do. I mean, our phones, you know, hey Siri, hey Alexa, everything's automated. And I think we're just in a culture where we want service. We want it now, and we want it quick.
Do we want service,
or
do we just want our stuff? And when I say just want our stuff, when you go to a restaurant and you get bad service, or you have somebody that comes out to look at your roof, if you get bad service, you're eliminating the person, right? So you're eliminating that job. If I don't need a cashier to check me out at a Walmart,
right.
I'm eliminating jobs. And I think that's where people see the negative. If you're a small business person, however, I think the advantage is if somebody had 10 years experience at a company and they got let go because we don't need you, it's more automation, there is somebody that has qualifications that you could hire right then. And I'm not saying this is always a positive, but if they were making 60 grand doing a job and they got laid off, they need work. So they might do it for 40, 45 and work their way up. But maybe they believe, like we've talked about before, in the culture of the business that you're part of.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting, you know, we talk about going back to just, we were talking about how, you know, service and convenience. I think beyond that, a lot of people in today's, you know, going back to what we talked about before, about people just kind of wanting...
They want their stuff, but they want it with a smile still.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
true.
There's a smile on the Amazon Prime box, by the way.
I mean,
oh yeah, if you look at it, the logo is a little white smile. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, if you look at things now, even Rotten Tomatoes is wrecking.
It's wrecking the
movie
box
reviews.
office.
And if you look at what Netflix is doing now, and this I'm completely stealing this from Colin Cowherd because he was the first one that kind of made this analogy, but Netflix is just now getting the thumbs up and the thumbs down rating. You're seeing a lot of big actors who are like, hey, let's take this safe bet. Maybe it's not as much money as a Blockbuster, but it's going to pay my bills. I'm not going to get washed out of the industry completely because I did something with Netflix and have my face seen. It's almost going to build my popularity as to where if you go do a movie and it does 30% Rotten Tomatoes and nobody sees it, you can end your career.
Well, you just said Blockbuster, and for me, my first job was at a Blockbuster video. R.I.P. Blockbuster video. Oh man, I was the best at stacking movies.
I could see it.
Ask me about any movie up until like '97, I could kill it right now. I got great recommendations. But when I worked there, I remember shortly after that it was Netflix. Do you want a Netflix subscription? And I'm like, why do I want to wait for you to mail me a DVD, right? But at the same time, Netflix is battling with Blockbuster on their online thing, and there was one other service. Walmart went in and said, you can just own the movie. You can buy it new for $19.99. Or if you wait a month, it's $10.99, and then you wait 3 months, it's $5. So they created that closed loop of, you want the new Spider-Man movie? Cool. Buy it for $20, and we'll put a toy in there.
Right.
Like, they're constantly finding new ways to get you to buy from them. And you can get the digital download as well.
Well, so you said, how are companies kind of...
combating?
Yeah, or like transitioning, how do you keep up with the times? Netflix is a perfect example. You get DVDs 2 or 3 at a time, you mail them back in, you get more, and you had to go online, select what you wanted, they would mail to your house. And that's why I didn't sign up for Netflix, because why wouldn't I just go to Blockbuster and do that? So what they did is they ended up turning it into a streaming site where now you don't get any DVDs, and now it's blowing up. And in most of these shows, I mean, the TV industry is taking a huge hit because most of the shows on Netflix are coming out are better than nationally
They're actually
syndicated
spending
shows.
more money on things on
Right.
TV stations now.
But I want to ask you this. You sold TV, and I remember going into the building where you worked, and we won't name it, but it's Channel 4. So when I would go in there, I would see posters on the wall for upcoming fall shows. And I would look at it, and Rachel would be behind me, and I'm like, that's going to get canceled. That has 2 weeks. That has 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because they would put somebody like Deborah Messing or whoever from Will and Grace.
It was a very hard C-list person.
Right, but I mean, they wouldn't take those posters down. I'm like, this Steve Harvey game show is not going to
It's-
work. But people like you would call me to say, you're not going to believe it. This is going to be the next big thing. And then it would get canceled, right? But a lot of money was put into that. If you look at the production value of the things on Netflix or Hulu, that seems to be where it's going because it's instant gratification as a consumer, but it is also a closed loop. The only way to see it, if it's on Hulu or Netflix, is you have to sign up.
And no commercials.
Well, speaking of that,
Yeah.
Netflix actually has acquired a company. It has to do with when you're in an airplane and the Wi-Fi is so horrible, and you can't stream Netflix now because it takes so much bandwidth. I don't know if you've seen Silicon Valley where they created that, the show Silicon Valley where they created that, where they could compress data. Netflix has bought a company that does that so that they can stream their stuff even in an airplane. So closed loop, they've still got to develop software that can help their product be seen anywhere. On an airplane.
But they're working on it.
They're
That's
always
the
doing
thing,
stuff,
isn't
and
it?
again, it's kind of, they're basically going to be what's that company called? It's whoever does the Southwest Wi-Fi. You can buy like a membership for it. It's on all their planes, but they bought the company. I'd have to get the name of it, but that compresses data, so they've made themselves more valuable even in the air now.
Hold that thought because I want to come back about something about data. You're listening to the 101 brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. I want to come back and talk about the Disney Fox deal. The fact because data is what everybody's after, right? So if they do that deal, ESPN will then go in and blow out all those Fox sports channels, all those people, but they'll have those regions.
What do they do? I don't even.
Disney would buy Fox. Fox would keep their news property and like their, Channel 28s and things like that.
Mhm.
But they would own all the rights to like the X-Men movies. They would own everything but like Fantastic Four for some reason. That's like an albatross. No one wants to make
They
it.
can
But
have it.
yeah, I mean, I want to see the thing again. But they would own, the ESPN would then own all the Fox News, Fox Sports channels, and they would turn them into ESPN affiliates. They don't have to keep the employees. They get rid of them. That's the closed loop. So if you want sports, there's one place to get it. And it doesn't matter what the ratings are because there's only one.
How is that not a monopoly?
It's not a monopoly because there are other...
There are other sports. I
There's
guess.
NBC Sports, there's CBS, even though they're not the
CBS
same
Sports
side.
Network.
Right.
Well, if they bought Fox, they'd buy Big Ten Network.
Right, it would all get... But
Yeah,
Disney would
ESPN
own
already
it,
owns
which
SEC
means-
Network.
Which means it would be... I mean, they would own everything but... Well, they do own the news. They own ABC
Like
News.
Longhorn TV Network, they wouldn't
Yeah.
own that.
That's the only one that
No,
got that.
but
Like
there's very
Pac-12.
few independents.
Pac-12.
Pac-12 Network.
Yeah, I mean, look at in the media industry for TV, it's Sinclair and it's Nexstar pretty much now.
Right. But I would like you to bring that part up. Will you do me a favor and look up the Disney Fox deal? Just what's the money? I thought it was $200 billion. I could be wrong. That seems way high. But Clear Channel owes $20 billion, so or iHeart, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Do you know how
20
many
billion.
subscribers
Their
there
debt
are
has gone
for
down a little.
Netflix? How many do you think there are?
Oh my god, I have no idea. I would say it's
200 million?
104.
104.
So times that by 10.
104 million
104 million times 10.
times 10 has
Is
got to be
1.4 billion.
104,000. Oh,
Carry the 2. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Math
think
was never a
close.
strong
Yeah,
suit.
think about that. 1.4 billion in revenue just off
Monthly. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
Wow.
Comcast bowed out
right.
yesterday. They're not in the running for Fox.
What's the price on it, though? It's some astronomical number, but at the end of the day, you own all the rights, so you can reissue all the digital download. You have access to catalogs, so you can reissue all this stuff at 99 cents or $9. You're going to make billions of dollars just owning the old movies. Because that includes, like, all the John Wayne movies and all that stuff. John Wayne was an actor, and he was,
Before that, he
thought he
played
played
football at
football.
USC.
USC is the University of Southern
His name was
California.
Marion. His real name is Marion. I can't remember his last name.
So let's see if
He played football at
I wanna
USC
put
back in about
Bloomberg doesn't talk about it.
1938.
the assets for sale have been valued at anywhere between 40 billion to north of 60 billion. Disney closed the
that's
day up.
above the Fox assets. The Disney deal seems above 60 billion.
For Thursday deal announced. Yeah, it looks like it's going to happen.
It's supposed to happen by Friday. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, it changes the landscape because when you can... Listen, I would like you to bring up how's that not a monopoly and they'll say, damn it, you're wrong.
Yeah.
No, but really, that's what we're talking about. How's it not a monopoly? There only have to be 2 other competitors in the space.
Yeah.
You can make as much revenue as you want, but you can only own 50% as the max, right? So the FCC regulation is to protect the other people from getting dominated.
Well,
51.
it's scary because it dictates people's perceptions.
Correct.
Because of they can put out whatever news and whatever sporting news they want, and it almost becomes truth.
Right.
It's an opinionism, not actually factual
Yeah.
news. Now.
Yeah.
It's true. That's why I don't really watch ESPN as much because it's
I
all
hate ESPN.
it's just drama. It's like
My buddy hates it because it's all East Coast and West Coast stuff. And the flyover, unless you've got somebody like Baker Mayfield who won the Heisman to talk about, then
Right.
screw the flyover.
Right? No, it's
Well,
true.
That and they have Golick and Wingo as like the new morning show
Yeah.
now. Weird dynamic. I was watching it this morning and like Golick is like he can't do his like angry like not happy.
He doesn't have Greenberg to bounce it off anymore.
No, so like
But
he's
it's
got
a
like
gimmick. It's I
Yeah.
can't give my real opinion because the Subway logo and Progressives. What I hated was from the Subway studio. We're going to pick up the Progressive Hotline brought to you by Transformers.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's wrong. It doesn't matter. It's how much crap can we shove down your throat.
Yep.
Do live reads and then go on a commercial break and then come right back. And guess what? This same shit show you were just
They just
watching
talk about it and
minutes
then they
ago.
bring
Oh,
like,
and it just
And
so
we're going
happens-
to talk to some former athlete about what they think about whatever.
bring Max Kellerman on and Stephen A. Smith to yell at each other after that. If you
Yeah.
don't like people talking to each other, then you can get somebody yelling
And
at each
Skip
other.
Bayless left because he couldn't give his real opinion.
Coward really did. Coward's the one that left.
Yeah.
By the way,
all those guys shitting on them are going to need a job when they buy this, right?
yeah.
Because you know what? They're going to be doing the show after
You know
us
what?
when we leave.
They're going to start somewhere else, and I think they'll still have success at that because people want
They'll have to go to Netflix or something like that.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
want a
it's-
different
PlayStation
opinion.
or PlayStation.
Yeah,
Network or
PlayStation's
PS2,
blowing
those
up.
kind of things.
Did you hear
A lot
the
of people
Ryan
don't like ESPN.
Ryan
No.
Rosillo story? Did anybody listen to him? When he got drunk
was drunk in Idaho or something.
And he walked into somebody else's hotel room.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh
Was
my
it
God.
Dana
bro?
Jacobson
It was-
he walked
did
into?
you hear him
Because she
have to
got drunk
apologize
too at
the
an
next- it was-
ESPN
No,
function.
he
Long
walked
time ago,
in.
she was drinking too much vodka and
Who
mouthed off.
Rachel?
Dana Jacobson.
Oh, she got
I
shit
always
canned.
do
Yeah.
that. Not
She
drunk.
was at the Notre Dame. She was at a Notre Dame function that they were
Who?
promoting. Dana Jacobson.
She
was
graduated
like,
from Michigan.
Oh.
She was like their
Good
kind
riddance.
of when Mike and Mike did their thing and they would do cutaways to the studio. She was like the anchor by herself,
Oh,
so she was
gotcha.
feeding the updates.
I think she did cold pizza at one point.
Yeah, what a great show.
A
But
long
she
time ago.
was cursing and saying all kinds of fouls. She was hammered, and it was more of like a banquet, not a roast, and she didn't read the room right. And they were like, "You are gone."
Yeah.
So I saw her. She made my burrito yesterday.
yeah. Yeah.
Somebody walked in the wrong hotel room after getting drunk. Jeez.
Priscilla, what a shit.
I know.
All right, are we ready?
Yep.
I like Deborah Messing and the Mysteries of Laura.
I'm not knocking. I'm just
No,
saying
no,
when you see the
I
poster,
liked
you're
it,
like, that's gonna
and
do
it
a
only
1-4.
it lasted 2 seasons. It didn't get the ratings, but I enjoyed it.
Let's bring back Dallas again.
No,
Gotta see it.
Andrew's like Dallas.
I didn't watch Dallas the first time. I don't care who shot
that
JR.
fast.
The who shot JR thing, I was in high school, and I was the only one in my school who didn't care.
I still
Me
want
and
the
like 3
t-shirt.
other people. We don't give a damn. All the girls were like, shut up, shut up, shut up.
JFK.
We're watching it. JFK shot JR.
9/11 was an inside job. I just want to put that out there.
Okay, stop it.
Put it wherever you want.
Yeah, I put it on Facebook Live. All right,
We got
so-
about 9 minutes. Here we go.
Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. Boys, before we went to break, we were kind of talking about networks kind of gobbling each other up, and I asked Madison to pull this up. The Fox Disney deal, Disney buying Fox, is somewhere valued between $40 billion and $60 billion. Are you okay, Joe?
My chair keeps sliding. I think it's
I
broke.
think you were warned of this.
Andrew, we're
And
gonna
you
go
were
to
going to through
a
caution
show.
to the wind.
Yeah.
And here we are 9 minutes to go.
I think what I had
and-
said was we have 9 minutes to go. Futz with that chair.
I think somebody's messing with me
Yeah.
here.
Don't worry
I'm
about
good.
Don't worry about finishing the show. It's fine.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the valuation of Disney buying Fox in that 40 billion to 60 billion. But again, that's vertical integration. I am trying to buy a property where I have libraries of material that's already been issued, which now I can partner with Apple to sell. When we're looking at something that big, I think people are looking at the numbers wrong, because I know what my first reaction was. Cool, you're going to have Marvel movies tied in with the Fox movies. But when you're looking at the revenue those are going to generate, again, these are big corporations, but it still works on a small scale. If you can find people to partner with and merge things together, as long as you can keep the money bouncing between you, that's what you're aiming for, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they valued it at, I think it was $60 billion, what all of Fox's assets are. But, you always wonder, ideally you want to keep things bouncing back and forth. Apple's obviously the perfect example of that, and this could be one of those examples of it going bad, where you're
Apple really, everybody else is the feeder system to Apple.
Yeah,
so that's the ultimate.
Realistically, they are the pinnacle of what a closed loop where you keep everything between 2 or 3 different entities. But I don't think, in terms of content, when one person owns all the different media, you kind of get one view. And that's kind of the beauty of having multiple different people involved in multiple different companies with different directions on what they allow their columnists or the opinions that they let flow. It's a major reason why a lot of the people left ESPN to go work for Fox.
Wasn't that an issue with you, Madison? You were in the media too. When you left, didn't you kind of see these things were kind of consolidating to the point where there's only going to be 1 or 2 voices out there?
Yeah. So, when I started at the station, we were owned by Media General, which was a large company that had been around for a while. They bought Lynn Broadcasting, then they bought another company, and then the whole thing got bought by Nexstar for a $1 billion transaction. And not only that, throughout that time, as they're growing and building, they're picking up different digital platform companies out of Texas and different companies that kind of fit their mold and buying them and making it internalized, and then really having kind of a monopoly in the industry within their corporation. And I saw it firsthand. I saw a company come in, make a $1 billion purchase, take over, kind of put all these corporate policies in place that kind of eliminated any type of local atmosphere, because it's all corporate run, because it's about being profitable and making money. And so I think you're seeing this on multiple. You're seeing it in the healthcare industry. You're seeing it even in the movie industry, and then with the companies like Apple and some of these bigger companies, or Amazon. It kind of comes across as a monopoly at some point. It looks that way.
And it does, but I think when you're looking at it from a small business point of view, that is ideally where you want to get,
it's
right?
Smart.
I mean,
exactly right.
I always tell people, if we do our job correctly, someone should want to buy that. And we should just be friends after this, and that you got a bunch of money because we built this thing up. That's the goal, right? I mean, as an entrepreneur, you either want to build a $1 billion business or have somebody pay you for that business to walk away with a check, right?
Yeah, there's a guy here in Columbus created Cover My Meds.
Yeah.
And they sold for over $1 billion. And basically he created a concept where he was kind of like the middleman between the insurance company and the actual doctor's office and pharmacy, because there's a lot that gets lost there. So, yeah, it's happening right here in Columbus, people coming up with concepts and ideas, and bigger companies come in and say, wow, what a great idea. And that's the ultimate entrepreneur dream, to get bought out for more than you're asking, or for more than what you think you could get, or even just in general, you created a successful business, somebody saw that value and bought it. Hell yeah, that's the ultimate dream.
Content,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it is.
Your concept is your content.
Right.
And the reason we talk so much about Apple and about Disney is the example. You can look at that, you know what that is. You've held a DVD or a CD or something, and you look at it, you know what that is. It's the same thing. Your business is your content. So you have to promote it, you have to build it up, and you have to constantly push that out there. It would be great if somebody gave you $1 billion for your content. But if they don't, you're building that culture around it so it keeps thriving, right? So automation can take away only so many things, but at the end of the day, it's still service. And like you said, Madison, it's a smile. We all want to smile at the end of the day.
Well, I think, Andrew said it last week, even somebody as powerful as Mark Cuban said it. It is a relationship based still. Like, there is a relationship that people love, and they do like that smile, even if it's just...
Well, and growing something into a giant monster of a company, it takes a lot of knowing what you don't know. So they did a survey in Silicon Valley, and I think like 70% of the people they surveyed, these small startup companies, thought they were going to become, were adamant that they were going to become a $1 billion company at some point. reality of that is it's like a 0.0006% chance that they ever even become that big of a valuation. So when people are offering you money, you have to look at those stats, especially look at those stats, people are offering a lot of money. A lot of these companies get gobbled up. And that's kind of the goal, to get a valuation more than what you think your company could ever be worth, and understanding that once you maybe got that level, that you yourself wouldn't be able to lead that ship in the right direction because you don't know enough about that situation.
Yeah, and getting into being an entrepreneur, I think, Mike, you could agree, some of the times it's just taking that risk and not knowing what's going to present itself along the way. I was reading a quote yesterday. Richard Bronson said, you don't have to be a genius. You don't even have to be a college graduate. You really just need a framework and a dream. And It's true. And you create that framework, you create that dream, and then it comes down to hustle and how bad do you want it, and can you see it, and just believing in it. And if you look at anybody that's created a $1 billion company or even a $200,000 company, they had a framework and a dream, and they believed in it. Right. And really, that's half the battle, is just believing in yourself that you can even do it.
I mean, you have to blindly believe. You have to jump off. I mean, you just have to, you're on the 5th step, and you got to take a jump and hope you land.
But what happens, yeah, you do, and I think what happens is, and you can attest to this, doors start opening up for you.
Weird random things, and you're like, I shouldn't be able to go right there this quickly, and you do, and then you get to bring other people, and you're like, no, you got to take a look at this. This is open to us.
Yeah, it's co-creating.
Yeah, people appreciate a lot of hustle too. I mean, everybody's, especially when you're dealing with, like Madison dealing with smaller businesses, and he's trying to get in there, and he's hustling, and he's starting his own thing, which is helping small businesses. People want to listen. I mean, especially if you're held in high regard. Okay, I'll hear you out. I mean, I think him running an audit on your company is completely free, so it doesn't cost anybody anything.
Yeah, it is free actually.
Free plug.
Call me.
We're running out of time for today, but we'll be back as always next Sunday. We'd like to thank you for listening to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. Fucking 25.